Hey everybody, it's me Stacey, licensed designer for Sizzix, Jacquard, and Couture Creations, here with today's Take Two Tuesday event. Welcome everybody, welcome to Take Two Tuesday, where I take my Stacey Park products from these amazing companies, we pair them together and do something wahoo kachoo, and really something that is achievable for all levels of makers, absolutely. Now, Take Two Tuesdays have been going on for quite some time, and we do them every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Sunday, California time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, pending our internet service. Yesterday we had no internet service, so I'm hoping this loads on time today. But really, while these are meant to be educational for all of you makers out there, they're also meant to highlight independent retailers. We love independent retailers, and we support and want to keep as many of them in business as possible. So typically I highlight 2 independent retailers every Take Two Tuesday, and you can find their information if you look under the description of this YouTube. You will see that I've got stores listed because, like I said, we're all about supporting everybody out there that carries Sizzix and Jacquard and Couture Creations. But today I've got a special retailer to talk about. A retailer that is having a birthday. Their store is having a birthday. Their online store is having a birthday. And anytime an independent retailer, whether it be a brick and mortar or an online store, celebrates another birthday, that is a reason for all of us to celebrate another year open, another year of inspiring you out there to make another year of you walking into their store or going online and shopping with them. It is a happy moment. So I am thrilled to say happy birthday to craftdirect.com. Yes, they're an online store. Craft Direct is having an amazing birthday celebration. That's my understanding. And I just want to reach out to them and say how proud I am to be part of their community. They do carry the Stacey Park line, and it means the world to me that they support me, and I want to support them back. So, craftdirect.com. I know you'll be able to find all the Sizzix product there, so head on over and take a look, because I am playing with Sizzix today. Of course I am. One of my nod to Christmas collections. It's called The View, and then The View number 2, because it's a stamp and a stencil combination. Now, I've been playing with the stencil for a little bit, and I thought, today I think I'm going to bring the stamp out, because while they work independently of each other, they also work in conjunction with each other. So it's kind of nice if you're a stencil person and you just want to be stenciling, you can get that stencil. And if you're a stamper and you just love stamping, you can get this stamp. But if you're like me, I do it all. And a little bit more. I always want to have both. And I think you will find the prices that these products are out at from your local retail stores or online stores, your local independent online stores. You're going to be a happy camper, and it's all available now. So, Craft Direct, way to go. Keeping it going, keeping it crafting, keeping your makers making another year. From all of us, we hope the best for you. We look forward to doing this again next year and saying, hey, remember when we wished you a happy birthday last year? I am so excited, and honestly a little bit proud of an independent retailer that just keeps it going and keeps it real and does the best they can. And you probably work more hours than you'd like to think of. I know I do. And any way that we can support is a happy day for me, and hopefully a happy day for you. So happy birthdays, craftsdirect.com. Happy birthday to you. Now today it is about my View collection, which is a nod to Christmas. My Christmas collection launched in July, and I wanted to do a Christmas collection, but I didn't want it to be only Christmas. I am a girl who likes to have oodles and oodles of options. I want something to do. If I'm buying a product, I want it to sing and dance and do somersaults and backflips, and then, also finish the page for me. So when I design, I want whatever I put out there for you to sing and dance and do backflips. I want it to do all of it. So I always try to incorporate options for you where you could use it for Christmas, but you don't have to use it for Christmas, where it could be for a birthday, but it doesn't have to be for a birthday. It could be for a guy card, but it doesn't have to be for a guy card. Everything on the table is what makes my heart happy, when you can look at a design and go, oh, I think I'm going to do this with it. But then the person sitting right next to you at that crop or that independent retailer who's having a make and take, they see it completely differently and they do something completely different. That's what creativity is about. That's why we make, because we all see things just a little bit differently. Not that anybody is better than anybody else, but isn't it pretty cool when 6 or 8 or 12 people they're handed the same item, and yet everybody does something different with it. And when you're all done, you compare and you're like, I never thought of that. That's such a good idea. Can I scrap lift it? Of course you can. So today it is about the View and the View 2. I'm going to show you the items. I'm going to keep it pretty simple, but I wanted to play with the stamps and with my Jacquard premium dye-based inks. Now, I know there's oodles of inks on the market, oodles of inks, and all of them do something a little bit different. My inks are they're more water-based. They're highly saturated, like highly saturated. They watercolor beautifully. They will stay wet long enough for you to throw embossing powder on, and they're dye-based. Hello, the saturation is so intense that you use just this little bit, and they stamp like a dream without making mud, no matter how much you blend the colors. So I like them, and being that I am a licensed designer for Jacquard, that is what we are using today. I was very fortunate. Jacquard came to me and said, if you could make an ink, what would you do? And first I said, I'm not interested in doing an ink. There's lots of inks on the market. Hello, I'm a retail store. I have them too. And they said, yeah, but what would you do? And I said, well, I'd like it to do this, and well, I'd like it to sing and dance and do somersaults and hula hoops and everything else. And they went away, and several months later they came back and they said, here, play with this. What do you think? Their chemist is right here in California, and they make beautiful product. Jacquard is a fine art company who is, I'm so grateful, doing my inks for the craft market, which means you're starting with a fine art quality product being sold in, but well, actually my inks are being sold in fine art stores as well. That's how good they are. All right, I'm going to tilt down. We're going to get started for today. Again, happy birthday to craftdirect.com. I'm so excited for you, and I look forward to this time next year wishing you another happy birthday. And if you are a retailer who carries Sizzix or Jacquard or Couture Creations, by all means, reach out so we know about you so we can promote you too. All right, let me put on my glasses. Oh, I can see a little bit better. And I'm going to tilt on down, and we're going to get started for today. Ready? Down we go. So let me zoom on in. I am my own camera person. I am not very technique savvy in the camera department, and I don't edit, I don't script. It is one take. What you see is what you get. So today we are playing with a stamp collection, and there are, trying to see, there we go. And there are several stamps in the collection. They are all separate so that you can use them as you wish. And you've got the cityscape, you've got the tree line, and you've got the rooftops. And it is about Christmas, it really is. So my nod to Christmas is my little Santa right down there. But again, I wanted you to be able to use these all year round. So I didn't make them overly Christmas. And to go with these is the coordinating single layer stencil. It is one layer where you can stencil away and then come back and stamp your image on top. Try to keep it something that nobody else has done. Usually you have the stencil or you have the stamp. It's rare to have both of them, but again, also affordable by keeping it a single layer stencil. So those of you who love to stencil, well, this is right up your alley. And those of you who love to stamp, well, the stamp is right up your alley. And for those of you who are like me, who like to do both, well, they're both available. They're out now. They're by Sizzix. You can tell that they're Stacey Park designs because of the teal color going down the side of the packaging. So if you are shopping in your independent retailer and you see that teal, you immediately know that that's Stacey Park Sizzix. So I'm going to be working with the stamp today. I'm going to put the stencil off to the side for just a little bit, and I am going to be working with the stamp. Now the stamp, the way it is drawn is that it's almost like a fine liner, adding detail to everything. It just adds that final element to the stencil, or if you're stamping, it gives you plenty of opportunity to color. I think I'm going to start with, my houses. And I am going to be using my stencil and stamp tool today from Sizzix. So I've got that out, and if I open it, I've got the alignment tool for my stenciling. I'm not going to be working with the stencils right now, so I can put that right out of the way. The lid pops on and off, easy peasy. It's not even a click in and click out. It just slips in and out. It has sticky grid that comes with it. This is a piece of sticky grid. I will tell you when you get your sticky grid, because it comes with the tool, it is perfectly white and clean. This is a huge, phenomenal, glorified Post-it note. And you can see that mine has gotten dirty, but yet it still sticks. So what keeps it from sticking is maybe the oils from your hand, or glitter, or embossing powder. Things of that nature will cause it to maybe not stick as well. But once you are done using it, and it lasts for a really long time, you just peel it up. And I use it then for a mask. I cut down and I use them for masks. But then you put down your next another piece of sticky grid, and Sizzix does sell them. I think it's 5 sheets to a pack. Now I'm going to be using my paper here. I've got white 100-pound cardstock. So that's what I'm using, white 100-pound cardstock. Nothing more than that. And I've got my rooftops here. Maybe I put them right there. And I can close up my lid, and it acts as a stamp positioner. Now, as long as I don't move my paper, oh, I had some ink on there. As long as I don't move my paper or my stamp, I can come back and it's going to line up every single time. So I'm going to give this a little bit of Jacquard. Now this is different than the Stacey Park ink. This is Jacquard waterproof black ink, which means if you're using any kind of alcohol ink marker or watercolors, this is not going to move with the water. It is non-water reactive. So I close it up and I stamp on down, give a little press. And yes, I'm stamping on my sticky grid, but I am going to be okay with that. I just feel like this is just not quite in the right place. Maybe there? We'll try there and see what happens. I feel like it's just not right. Well, that's me. All right, maybe that's better. Okay, so I've got a beautiful image. I can absolutely pull this up and ink again and stamp again if I wanted it a little bit darker. It's entirely up to me. And super important, on your stencil and stamp positioner from Sizzix, the lid has two sides. They have one side that's gridded and one side that's smooth. You always want that stamp to be on the smooth side. It will struggle to cling to the gridded side. Okay, done. Now I might leave that on there just because, but for now I'm going to put it away. I'm going to put it over here for just a little bit, and now we get to play. So I'm going to bring over a blending mat from Woodware Creative Expressions. It's actually two big pieces like this that I have then cut in half. It's an A4 size, so the blending mat is this whole side. This whole size here, this is A4. And then I've cut them in half, and sometimes I then even cut them into a quarter of it if I want to have a couple different sizes. A blending mat is really nice because it makes for your palette. And a palette is what we're looking for because we're going to be playing with some of my inks. Now, I think I'm going to cover this up just because I want to show you some of my inks, but I don't want to get this dirty. My inks are super saturated, and I'm going to be playing with the re-inkers today, not the actual ink pads. I do carry, we have 18 colors, and you will find the 18 colors at retailers everywhere. So we do have the full-size ink pads and the re-inkers to go with. And again, available at globally at lots of retailers online and in store. But I want you to see just how saturated they are. So if I were to take a little bit of, let's say is this my Blue Jay? Yep, I'm gonna take a little bit of Blue Jay. And if I just put down the tiniest drop, do you see how small that drop is? Oh my goodness, there's nothing there. But you add water to it. Oh, do you see how blue that is? That's just 2 sprays of water. Oh, I got a little purple in my, I got purple, I got pink, I got every color going on in my paintbrush. All right, so now you know I don't clean my paintbrushes after I use them. Holy smokes, artichokes, look at all that color I got going on. Yeah, why clean them? Is there a need? Apparently there is. So this is a fusion brush by Yasutomo. They are beautiful, beautiful watercolor brushes that are affordable. So if you're a retailer and you're not carrying the Yasutomo fusion brushes, you should absolutely check them out. A little bit, oh, see, there we go again. Let's see if I've got some of my ink out. And then I can dilute it. So depending on how much I drop in, one little drop is going to make a huge difference in this. Wow, look at that. Huge difference in the saturation of the color. Look at that blue. But then, and remember, that's 2 drops. Then I add some water and work that water in. And now my blue is going to be lighter. And then I work some more water in. And then my blue is going to be lighter. And then I work some more water in. Can you see how far 1 drop, 2 drops of ink can go? To where you get a beautiful gradation. 2 drops of the re-inker. That's it, 2 drops. I can darken it up. So it's all about options. And I do try to I don't typically have a light ink, a dark, a medium ink, and a dark ink. I don't have like color families to where you have to buy all three to get three shades that work well together. Just by desaturating, you're able to make sure that you've got shades that work together because it is the same ink. These are easy to use. Easy to use, very, very forgiving, and go a really, really long way. Let's see. How about Dragon Fruit Delight, one of my new colors. I have 6 new colors, so let's do a drop. And let's do a spritz. That was a lot of spritz. And I could put one more drop in, a drop. Can you imagine how long these re-inkers will last you when you're using such little ink to get such deep, rich tone? And then I can add a little water and desaturate. Oh, even more. And then a little bit of water. And desaturate. And then a little bit of water. So water is one of the least expensive crafting tools you'll ever use. And I just keep adding water. And I can go in and make right from the very, very top to the very, very bottom. With one ink, you can do this. One drop. And then I suppose, and you can come in if you wanted to. Just because I don't want to waste the ink. And pick it up and do something with it. I just don't want to waste it. Okay, but we got to move on. And hopefully I covered my rooftops, but if I didn't, oh, I did, look at that. All right, baby wipes are your friends. I go through oodles of them. All right, let's move on. Clean out my brush. And I'm gonna paint this in yellow. So I just did one little scene right here, and I'm going to paint it in yellow. I still feel like I'm not in the right place, but you know what? We're just gonna go for it. As I move everything again. All right, so I want to make sure all my pink is out. And I'm going to put some yellow down. So I've got my yellow curry and my pineapple crush. I think I'll do my pineapple crush. I'll throw a drop down. Add some water. Ooh, do you see that? That's crazy good, right? And I want this seriously diluted. I want it seriously desaturated. Maybe even a little bit more. Let's see what I have. Okay, that looks good. Let's go to a flat brush. Again, fusion brushes. And I'm just going to paint some yellow. Paint some yellow. And I'm going to paint it right into my houses, my rooftops. I'm giving a wash of yellow all over. Just a wash of yellow. There we go. All I'm trying to do is get rid of the bright white. That's all I want to do, is get rid of the bright white. Now I can come back and I can play. So what colors do I want my houses to be? Do I want them maybe to be teal? I can put a little drop of a teal down. And I can go in and add some color. Oh, and I just spritz right on it. Okay, well, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And I can go in and add a little bit of that color to one of my houses. And because I've already put yellow down, if I miss a place, if I don't get quite the color all the way around, I know it's not gonna be white. And because I've used waterproof ink, I can go right on top of my inks and just paint. Maybe I want one to be, let's try not to get it spritzed everywhere. Maybe I want it to be a little bit of a pink. Little bit of ink, whole lot more water. And I am not a watercolorist. I'm just going in here and filling in my space. And just kind of letting it be. Not going for perfection. And that yellow is allowing me to paint without having, I don't know, too much of the white poking through. I was really trying to stay away from the white. So by adding a little bit of yellow to everything, it just takes away that stark white. And I'm just picking up color and laying it down. I'm filling in all the spaces. I'm not using a bunch of different paint brushes. I'm just going in there with my flat brush. A bit of blue. And literally just adding color until I'm happy. And this is not watercolor paper, it's just paper, just 100-pound paper. And I'm just painting. That's all I'm doing, and I'm not even being that careful about it. Let's add, I'm going to use a little bit of my yellow curry, which is a little darker yellow than my original, my Pineapple Crush. A little bit darker of a yellow. So I don't want you to think you have to be an artist to come in here and do this, because as you can see, you don't. I'm just kind of following along. I'm painting in my houses. And I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to add some color. Now, what to do about the top? That's all yellow. Well, let's play with that too. And I've got my yellow down, so maybe I come in with a light blue. A little bit of blue, some water, and I'm trying to make kind of a wash. And right over my yellow. Maybe a little bit more. And kind of right over my yellow. And then maybe I come in with a little deeper blue. So less water. I think I'll use my darker one. Boop. Drop. Oh, one drop goes a long way. Holy smokes, artichokes. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to desaturate that a lot. Well, I've got enough blue ink here to last me quite some time, but it was literally a drop. There we go, a little bit darker. And then maybe I come in a little darker at the top. So I'm just trying to build a skyline. And then get rid of my blue. Maybe a little bit of my Pineapple Crush. And up from the bottom, more water. And all I'm trying to do is build just a little skyline. Doesn't have to be hard. Doesn't have to use a million colors. My colors will blend into new colors. and a little bit of water just to get rid of that demarcation line. And before you know it, you're watercoloring. So I had a little bit of a demarcation line down here between my two yellows. One was more saturated than here. All I did was take a little bit of water and come in and just dab plain water on that demarcation line. And I'm gonna let the water do all the work for me. Let the water do the work. And again, 100-pound paper. And where I accidentally got those spritzes, well, you don't even see them anymore. Ooh, and when I'm done, it almost looks like I've got clouds. I mean, it's everything, and it's done, finished. Let it dry and move on, which is what we're gonna do. That was like a perfect little segue. So I played with the houses, and I love the houses. And again, welcome to your new, I mean, it's just a pretty card. Thinking of you, sending sympathy. It's just a pretty card. And of course I could cut it down a little bit if I want, and I could add more color if I want, but it is a pretty little card, or a card front. It's the beginnings of something is what it is. So I'm gonna bring, oh, I've got lots of, I should probably put the lids on. I am the worst about spilling. So I'm gonna put the lids on. And I'm gonna move to the tree line stamp. So tree lines. There. So if I take my stamp right off my stencil and stamp, come over, put it away, because I don't want my rooftops. Grab my tree line stamp, and let's play with that for just a little bit. So you get all three stamps, the cityscape, the tree line, and the rooftops, and they all coordinate with the stencil so that you can take and use both of them together. But they also work independently of each other. So let's grab some paper. And this time I think I'm going to keep it a little bit further away from, oh, I got black ink on it. Paper has two sides. There we go. Now my tree line. I'm just going to put it to one side. So make sure that my stamp positioner, my stencil and stamp tool, has the smooth side down. Pick up my stamp. And what I've done is I've kept it off to one side. Here's my paper, but I've kept it, it's going off the side over here. That's because I'm going to do multiple tree lines, and I'm going to go back and forth and back and forth. So I've kept it to the far left side. And now we take our waterproof ink from Jacquard. So this side. So I want to ink up all the way to there. And maybe I take just the ink off the bottom because I was a little happy with the ink. There we go. And put it in, and let's stamp it on down. There we go. One tree line ready to go. If I want it darker, I can add a second coat of ink. And stamp again. And remember, this is a stencil and a stamp tool, so it's a dual purpose tool. I use this with my stencils all the time. Specifically, layering stencils are amazing with it. Ha, perfect. Now I'm going to pull this off, and remember how I kept it all the way on one side? Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to keep it all the way to the other. And this is going to allow me to get a tree line. I'm going to say that's pretty good. And close it up. Let's add some ink to it. Stamp it down. Add some ink to it. Stamp it down. And then I can move it again if I want. I've kept it all. Now I'm going to go back to the original. I'm going to go back to more of this side. Or I could go straight in the middle. That way it's not exact every different tree line that I've got. I'm not looking for it to be exact. I'm looking for it to have some interest and some depth. So I'm going to go right there. And I'm going to close it up. Ink and stamp. So these stamps aren't just a single row. All of them can be made to do multiple levels. You can even interchange them and do a tree line and then a cityscape. You have options with these stamps. You can keep them a single level just like we did here. Look at how pretty as it dries. It smooths as it dries. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, I am so happy with that. Holy smokes, artichokes. Okay, I'm good. Take this off. And now I've got a tree line going on. I've got multiple levels of trees. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab some of my yellow. So this time I'm going to use a little yellow curry. It's a little bit deeper of a yellow as opposed to bright. And I do want to desaturate it. So let's add some water without trying to get it everywhere. Let's make sure I've got all my ink out of here. Looks good. And I'm just going to do a wash, rinse, and repeat. I want to go yellow over the whole thing. Now I just leave it and I just work on my space here. I'm okay if I get a little water on my sticky grid. When it dries, it's still sticky. I use it almost as my making space. Just because I don't want to take my paper off, just in case I want to come back and stamp anything more on it. Okay, so I just want that yellow to hide the white, just in case there's ever a space where I miss a little bit of a color, at least it won't be white poking through. There, a little bit of yellow going on and I'm happy. I always start with yellow because yellow tends to blend easier than anything else. Yellow will blend with blues and greens, but it'll also blend with reds and oranges. So I usually start with yellow. Now I'm going to come in and maybe I add a little bit of zesty lime. A little bit of water. And I want to go in and same thing, I'm going to paint the whole thing. I'm just going to paint the whole thing in my zesty lime. Get up in here and get some of my trees done, and I'm just going to paint all my trees in my zesty lime. Do you see how easy this can be? A little bit more zesty lime, another drop, another couple spritzes. Stir it together, come in, and just kind of at the treetops is where I need to be a little careful, but even then, not really. I'm just a let's go for it girl. We are watercoloring. Okay, so now I've got some green going everywhere. Right? I've got some green going everywhere. But let's darken up that green. I can come in with either more zesty lime and be more saturated, or we could try my wasabi and see what we think of that. And a little bit of wasabi. So a little deeper, darker green. Now I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to lay some color down. I'm just going to kind of go down on the sides of my trees, not being very specific. I'm just kind of going for it. And I'm going to let that water do the work. Some trees will have more green, some trees will have a little less. And that's what I want. I don't want all my trees to be the same. That wouldn't be good, because then you've got something that looks flat and not dimensional. I want something that's got some dimension to it. And the water is your friend. So I'm just going to add a little bit of green. And now my trees are starting to kind of come to life. But then maybe I want to add a little bit of blue. Blue? Yeah, maybe a little bit. You never know. Just a drop, a little drop will do ya. Maybe a little bit of blue. Just kind of here and there. A little more green built into it. I'm just trying to add dimension. That is my goal, to have something that doesn't look so flat. And by blending the colors and by adding the different colors, I'm able to achieve that with just re-inkers. But highly, highly saturated re-inkers. And you can see I'm not going in there being careful. No, what fun is that? I'm going to let the water do the work for me. And anywhere I think I might have a line of demarcation, I just grab some water and tap into it. And you can see my ink isn't moving at all. My black ink hasn't moved at all. Now I could come back in with a little bit more of my yellow maybe. So I could do this all day long. I could literally sit here and keep layering color on top of color on top of color just because it makes my heart happy. And I like how they blend. And they really do morph into something else. Literally in front of your eyes. They just become something more than what they started. The stamp becomes something more than what it started. So I'm literally just tapping that green in and grabbing some water and letting that water do the work. Quite honest with you, I think I'm done. I love the little hints of blue undertone on some of them. And I really could sit and play all day long. But I still have that top to do, don't I? So let's go in with a light blue. Let's wipe some of this down. Let's get rid of this and this. And let's throw some of that light blue down. And some water. And like we did before, I'm just gonna go kind of across the top. And water, just plain water. And I'm gonna let that light blue kind of work into that yellow with just a little bit of water. And where I have a demarcation line, if you can see that, I'm just gonna go in there and use my water almost like an eraser. And then let's go add a little bit deeper blue. And now almost with a dry brush and just a little bit of water, I'm just going to blend them into each other. I want that top to be a super deep saturated blue. And then with almost a dry brush, just kind of blend them into each other. Pull a little bit of yellow back in. A little bit of yellow. And then some plain water. I love the yellow in there. And just let my plain water do the work. And before you know it, you've watercolored, and you didn't even know you could do it, but you did. And it's quick, it's easy, it's fun, it's very relaxing. And really, you're letting water do the majority of the work for you. Love water. And again, I'm not on any kind of specialty paper. I'm just using 100-pound cardstock. See, told you I could go back and forth for days just adding more color into it. But I will stop. But I took a single stamp and I made a whole watercolor card front There we go. Layer the stamps, build into them, or keep them all separate. Do just a single layer. Don't know what I'm going to add to this, but we'll add something to it. And it's using my stamps, and I didn't use my stencils, but it has coordinating stencils from Sizzix, part of my Christmas collection. But is it Christmas? Maybe. There's definitely a nod to Christmas. I could certainly put my Santa right over the top of him, flying, absolutely. Now let's see. I'm just going to mat it on some black. And I'm just using double-sided adhesive. Still a little wet. Let's see if I can pull up that double-sided adhesive. There we go. Fold it back in on itself, and let's do this one. Still a little wet. It's hard to pull the adhesive up when your paper is wet. There we go. Oh, I have 2 sheets. So it's called the view. The stamp is the view. The stencil is the view number 2. And they really are meant to work together, but you can see how beautiful they are independently of each other. And that you can take one stamp and really make it something extraordinary just by lifting it and layering it. And then, I don't want to do that. I want to keep my water. There we go. And then I've got my, let's layer this one down. This one's dry, so easier. So tape, tape. Now, will they work on watercolor paper? Of course they will. And the color will even be more intense, and you'll even need less ink to use on watercolor paper. Absolutely. But I like to use what I think most people have, and most people have white paper in their crafty stash right now. They don't have to go out and buy anything special. Do you have to use Fusion watercolor brushes? No. What brushes do you have? Just get them out and play with them. Fusion brushes from Yasutomo are just really great brushes for the price. They're pretty inexpensive for watercolor brushes, and they do an amazing job. Would I use Fusion brushes on anything else? No. No, I would not. I'm not going to go in there and use acrylic paint with those brushes. No, they're meant to use with ink, with watercolor, and they really are lovely. So bam. One stamp set, 2 different looks. I could have layered my houses up. I could have put my trees behind my houses. I could have had a cityscape with my trees. I could have put my house. I mean, there's just so much you can do with this one stamp set. And I used re-inkers. My re-inkers are Rockstar. They're Rockstar not because they're mine. They're Rockstar because they're Jacquard product. And Jacquard product is Rockstar. You may know them for their alcohol inks, their Pinata alcohol inks, like the best alcohol ink on the market. Fine art company that made a fine art ink available to all of us paper crafters and fine artists. So today I played with my stamp set. The SKU number is 666696. And in the past, I've played with the stencil set that coordinates. And that number is 666697. It is called the View and the View 2. It is a nod towards Christmas. You do get a Santa right there, but by no means is this Christmas specific. It is meant to be used for everything. So between the stamps, the stencils, my Jacquard inks, whether it's the reinkers or the full-size pads or both, all of them available at independent retailers. They're available at scrapbook.com. Lots of places you can pick these up, and I promise you, you will love the ink. It's just, I'm so lucky to have a company like Jacquard want to partner with me. I'm just so lucky. So let's show you a few samples. So done with the stencil. Pretty, isn't it? And my inks. I think those are my inks. Stencil. Stamp and stencil. Stencil. That's a slimline card. Stamp only, which is kind of along the lines of what I did. Only I took it to something full size. Kind of along the lines of what I did. Now I've got to put a sentiment there, definitely. Stamp only with a single layer, as opposed to me layering and layering and layering. Stamp and stencil. And then stamp only. Look at how beautiful is that. Isn't that gorgeous? Stamp only. Stamp and stencil. And stamp and stencil. So, I hope I showed you something new today. I hope I showed you an easy way of watercoloring, that it doesn't have to be difficult and you don't have to have expensive, fancy watercolors. You may work into that, but you can definitely start. The idea is to start. If you're using what you have, start. Your ink does need to be water reactive. It does need to be a water reactive ink to make it work, but there are oodles of water reactive inks on the market. And if you don't have any, then find a retailer and try out the Stacey Park premium dye-based inks from Jacquard. They really are lovely to work with. And from Sizzix, I mean, yay when I can do a stamp and a stencil and they work together, but you can buy them independently of each other. Love, love, love that too. So it is me, Stacey, licensed designer for Sizzix, Jacquard, and Couture Creations, here with today's Take Two Tuesday event, where we play with all of these goodies. And if you have them, you can play along right with me. And if you don't, maybe it inspires you to pull something out that you have similar and try. If you are a maker, this is a great class for you. And if you're an independent retailer, this is an amazing make and take for your store. You saw, really, I could have gotten away with just 3 colors. If I really wanted to, I could have just gotten away with 3 colors of ink because of the levels of saturation that I can do. What a fun make and take. Put out a couple of the reinkers for every couple people, because they just need a drop or 2, that's it. And let them stamp and watercolor. All right, so, and happy birthday to Craft Direct. So it is me. The next time I see you will be next Tuesday, and I think next Tuesday might be the sneak peek of my October collection. I think. Don't hold me to that, but I will see you next Tuesday for our next Take Two Tuesday. We'll be featuring 2 new independent retailers. We have an online retailer here in the US, we have a global online retailer, and we hope that you shop wherever it is that makes your heart happy. Until then, thanks everybody. Again, I'm Stacey, a licensed designer for Sizzix, Jacquard, and Couture Creations. Have a great night. Bye.